Hey everyone, we're Red Donkey Projections. I'm Eric and we have Lucas as always.
Hey everyone.
What we're going to be talking about today is about 538's new released map, or I should say maps, of their 2020 presidential predictions. What they have here is numerous different possibilities for each candidate to win, and they have a lot of different maps with a lot of different scenarios.
Yep. Fun fact, 538 was in 2016, I believe it was the closest to predicting a Trump victory. It gave him around 29% chance of winning. So they were the closest. We'll go in-depth state by state, looking into some of the battleground states, and to determine if this model is accurate and what our opinions are of it. And with that being said, let's get right into it. So up here, I think what they have is a bunch of simulations that they were able to do running their algorithm and forecast. As you can see, there's a lot more Biden victories than Trump victories. So I think it does kind of show that Biden is really looking like he's favored to win right now because of the number of pathways he has. You know, like some of these are very interesting. Like this one's pretty interesting. He's not even carrying New Mexico and winning. That's interesting. But of course, we have a variety of possibilities, and we're going to dig into some of them that they have put here. So they currently give Trump a 28% chance of winning and Biden a 72% chance. That's pretty good odds for Joe Biden here. It is very good because they did predict about the same for Hillary in 2016, but I think that, you know, people have become more accurate in predicting this after 2016 and how a lot of them did get this wrong.
But actually, I think 538's projection is a bit more, reserved. Like, I remember, and no, it's actually true that JHK gives Biden like an 83% chance. This is only a 72% chance. And I respect that because, once again, they are probably factoring in some sort of surprise or potential, mishap that happens for Joe Biden. But once again, 72% is pretty good odds.
Yeah, it's nothing to laugh about. I think they are predicting what they think the election will look like in November, not what the election looks like today. If it was done today, these numbers would be a lot higher for Joe Biden. So let's first start by looking at the two extremes they have here that they run their simulation through. And in this extreme, we're seeing states like Montana, South Dakota, Kansas. We're seeing states like that going blue, Louisiana, Mississippi. This is very unlikely. Considering how polarized the current political environment is right now, we don't see any candidate in the near future getting more than 500 electoral votes. It's simply been so divided, the nation. And the other extreme, we have like Oregon going red.
Yeah.
Yeah, that this is not going to happen. I think Connecticut actually goes red too.
Maine.
Yeah. No, this is not. This is very much not likely. So let's explore what we think is more possible. We actually predict. I think it's right over here. This one. We predict a 334-204 victory, and I think this is definitely within the realm of possibility. I think about here, I'd say this portion is probably possible. Yeah. That seems possible. These predictions seem possible currently. So let's take a look at tipping points first. These are the states that end up deciding the election. Like this one state might swing in one way or the other. So they think the tipping point is going to be Pennsylvania and then followed by Florida. Yeah, that's definitely possible because they are two states with a lot of electoral votes. Pennsylvania with 20 and then Florida with 29. They definitely can end up deciding the election.
And once again, the reason why all of these states are considered tipping points and right now they're highly favored for Joe Biden is because Donald Trump did take these states in 2016. And yeah, whoa, baby snakes, how times have changed, and Biden is doing very well right now in all of these battleground states, which is why they're considered tipping points, but they're pretty solidified for Joe Biden.
Now let's check out the voting margins here. We have, let's go to the swing states here. They predict that it'll go, Wisconsin will vote to the left of Minnesota. Really, that's interesting. I don't think that. I think Minnesota will vote to the left of Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, then Florida, then Arizona, then Nebraska.
Their new average for Minnesota is less than Wisconsin's, which is really
interesting. Huh, yeah. North Carolina, we actually have this one blue right now, but we have it blue as if the election was held today. If we were predicting if it was held in November, North Carolina could probably go red. It's definitely possible, but we think it will go blue, but a slight edge for Joe Biden. Ohio, Georgia, no surprise here. Maine second, no shot really. Iowa, and then Texas. So I think this we pretty much agree with. Before we go in-depth state by state, let's take a look at how the forecast has changed. Obviously, they just released it, but we're going to see what it was before. So right here, they had it at 79 points, but that makes sense because this was, Joe Biden's high point. Same with in a few places now, Joe Biden is dropping in the polls. Like in some of the swing states, he was up in Georgia before. He's lost the lead there. I think he's actually up in Ohio now. But the lead in Ohio has really much narrowed. Electoral votes wise, same pattern here. No surprise, because this is when you had the high point because with Black Lives Matter happening, Joe Biden looked very, very favorable. Not saying that he's not favorable now. He is still pretty favorable to win the election right now. But that has dropped a bit. Popular vote wise, 53 to 46. I think that's a pretty good estimate. I think it's going to be around there. All right.
Democrats do get away with the popular vote. Like even in 2016, Hillary Clinton was able to win the popular vote. So no surprise how the Democrat there is in the lead.
I agree. I feel like I preferred their 2016 version because it had a more generalized state-by-state thing, but I think this is fine too. I would prefer the other one.
It was just something to get used to.
Yeah. Let's start with, C states with the closest races. Let's do this. Let's start with North Carolina. Wow, 50-50 now.
Interesting. Right now, the polls show Biden up by 1.7 to 2 points. So it is actually more, it is closer than we think.
So yeah, it looks like it is back and forth according to this graph here. Trump 2, Biden 1, Trump 1, literally back and forth. It's definitely going to be very close. They do have a pretty large African-American electorate who usually do turn out for the Democratic candidate, and we could see that again. And looking at this graph right now, again, at one point he was 60 to 40 over Trump, but again, this was the high point. But it has since narrowed. Trump briefly took the lead. Now it's went back to, a 50-50 tie. Because this will definitely be one of the closer states that we got to take a look at, 50-50 here.
Let's just put it like this. If the events of Black Lives Matter and, the coronavirus outbreaks and hotspots was happening right before the election, Biden would be very, very, very certain to win.
Yeah, I agree.
As we get closer to the election, as 538 actually says, there's, more time for other events to happen. As Lucas said in yesterday's video, 3 months away from the election is 3 million years, which is true because every day gives the chance of something to happen, whether it's bad for the Democrat or the Republican.
I agree. I think that had this happened the day before election, or not the day before election day, but a couple of days before election day, Biden would have probably a very high chance of winning. Let's look at Ohio now. This one we made a video on recently with him showing, with him leading the polls now. So let's actually take a look at this one first. 54 to 46. I agree with it about there. Eric, why don't you discuss this one?
Yeah, Ohio is very, very contested right now, especially because Biden is leading there in the polls, according to 538, 0.4, 0.6 around there. But, the polls do swing to the left. So I also think that it's going to be very difficult for Joe Biden to win the state, and the chances are pretty low, especially now. and 538 thinks the same. Trump wins 54-46, which is still pretty close considering he did win the state in 2016. But Ohio is just very contested, and there are a lot of white working class people who just want to stick to Trump, or at least that's what's likely at the moment.
I actually think that this 54 and 100 chance, 46 and 100 chance, that's not referring to the popular vote. That is referring to the chance of winning.
Yeah.
So popular vote-wise, they're predicting that it's a 1-point victory for Trump. That is much narrower than what we saw in 2016. This 2016, this was basically a blowout for the president because I think he won by nearing double digits, which is surprising because this state went to Obama in 2016.
2012.
2012. But look at how this changed back and forth. Biden was up at one point. He was very much up in the polls here, a lot higher than what he is right now. Then it went back and forth and forth. So I think now Trump will probably carry out a victory here. Recent polling shows YouGov 1-point lead, 3-point lead. C pluses, don't really want to trust that too much. Fox News has him up by 2. Quinnipiac has it up by 1.
But these are pretty not recent. These are like
yeah, you're right. July. Let's actually check out the okay, so in the in the current average, it is still a 0.6 lead for Vice President Biden.
That's probably not going to stay because, as we saw in Texas, yes, Biden did lead in Texas for a week or so, maybe more, maybe less. And now it's back to Trump. Lucas can check that out right now. But
actually, let's see.
Right now, Trump is back up with the 0.5 average. Same thing will probably happen to Ohio. This was just a high point in Ohio, maybe because they know Kasich is going to speak at the DNC, former Republican governor in Ohio. But my prediction is Ohio poll is going to swing back to Trump eventually.
All right, so now let's look at other states here. What do we have? Georgia. Actually, let's check out Arizona first because they put this one as closer than what we think. We think Arizona probably is going to go to Biden, 56-44. I'd give it 58% right now. It was much higher before. Again, 61-39. His lead does look like it is shrinking a bit.
Wow.
Predicted to win by 50-49%. I think it's gonna be like 2%. I think. Recent polls: Emerson College came out with 6 points. Trafalgar, I don't trust. They have a clear bias to the right. Ohio Predictive Insights +4. CNN 4-7. Okay. So generally, it does look very favorable that he will take Arizona. I give it 58% chance. All right, let's look at Georgia. Georgia is another interesting one. This gives it 65-35. I would agree with that. I think that Trump will win this one at the end of the day. Although polls initially looked very good for Biden, those leads have narrowed up now. 65-35 was much closer before. This used to be more of a Republican stronghold. It has been swinging more to the left now. A lot of the minorities are contributing to the shift a bit to the left. Let's actually look at the polls here because I'm kind of interested in what the average is now. So it looks like 0.4.
Wow.
We did see a new poll yesterday from an A pollster with Biden up by 2. At one point, he was up by almost 2 points. That has narrowed down, but this state probably shouldn't be competitive this year. Maybe in the future, but it shouldn't be competitive now. We used to put the state as likely. It has moved now to the lean column. We had it at tilt for a period of time, but with the polls swinging back in Trump's favor, we will put this one as a lean. Let's actually check Texas first before we check Iowa, because I'm more interested in Texas. 70-30. Interesting. Wow. Mm-hmm. It did look like it was closer before. Popular vote-wise, 52-47. That's like 5%. I think it's definitely going to be lower than that by election day. I think he'll win by 3%. I think 5 is a good amount. In 2016, it was the first time that the Republican won the state by just single digits. It used to be double digits before. Looking at the Texas polls, Trafalgar has Trump up by 6. Again, I don't really trust Trafalgar. You can say that, yes, they got it right in 2016, but you got to acknowledge that they did poll it. They were one of the last polls to poll the election, to poll the people. And considering the high number of undecided voters in 2016, they obviously got lucky because of that, and they were one of the few ones that did predict Trump to win. But again, they have a clear bias to the right, so we don't like to use that one that much. I would think like 65% chance, not 70-30. I think 65 Trump, 35 Biden makes a bit more sense than 70-30. I think he does have a slightly higher chance. Let's check out Iowa now. 68-30, really higher chance than Texas for a Biden victory here. Iowa went to Trump in stunning numbers, 9 points to the right of Texas. Iowa went to, if you remember, 2012 and 2008, Iowa went to Barack Obama. I don't think that's going to happen right now. And in the future, honestly, I don't think we're going to be discussing Iowa in 2024 because it has swung to the right. I just don't think it's going to be a swing state that much anymore. 51-47, that makes more sense. I think that Iowa probably will vote to the right of Texas this time again, given the current circumstances. And things do look quite favorable for Trump in Iowa. Polls +1, +6. Interesting. All right. Eric, do you want to discuss Pennsylvania?
Yeah, this is one of the battleground states in the Blue Wall area. And right now, they give Joe Biden a 74% chance of winning. I respect this amount. Pennsylvania is very polarized. You have the east part of Pennsylvania, which is very, very Democratic. And then central Pennsylvania is pretty Republican. So, it's very, very contested here. In 2016, Donald Trump did manage to win the state as long as 3 out of 4 states in the Blue Wall. And now 538 is, I think, giving all of them to Joe Biden in some sort of margin, which is all he needs to win the election.
Right. He doesn't need to pick up a state like Texas or Iowa or Ohio or even Florida. He can just pick up these 3 and he's done. Popular vote-wise, 5%, maybe a little bit lower than 5%. This is Joe Biden's state where he was born. So I think 74% is appropriate. Now, I want to check Minnesota because I was actually kind of interested in this, that Minnesota they put to the right of Pennsylvania. Actually, a lot of states as well, I believe. 73-27. Things have, as you can see, narrowed up since, it used to be like 86% to 14%. Now it's dropped to 73-27. I think that might be as a result of the recent polls. Emerson released a 2-point lead, and that was actually to the right of Trafalgar. So that's that's interesting to say the least. That maybe I still think that Biden probably will win this state, but these numbers have been interesting here because we were seeing double digits everywhere before. It's become single digits now. We've got to wait for new polls to come out here and figure out it more.
You got to consider the fact that those polls were from different dates. So the reason why Trafalgar gave it more because that was July 23rd. Emerson polled closer to when we recorded this. So, yeah. The average for Minnesota is 5.5. Before it used to be double digits, +10, +12. So, yeah, I was surprised myself when it went down by that much. It was like a step on their graph. It was like a downwards staircase.
We're gonna monitor Minnesota for sure because it's one to take a look at. Wisconsin now. We're gonna just run through the ball very quickly. 72-28. I think this was actually the state. Oh wait, no. Michigan is, but this is pretty good for Joe Biden because thinking about it before, Trump was looking like he was going to actually win this state. That has changed.
Back in March. How the turntables.
it was like we put it at like tilt R before when we first started our channel. Things have obviously shifted a lot recently. Forecast changing. And this was pretty steady, except for, again, every state had this bump here for Joe Biden, with the events flowing around Black Lives Matter. It has narrowed a bit, but it has been fairly consistent. 52-47, 5-point victory. That's nothing to complain about, for sure.
These polls are a bit not good.
It's not the best, but they show Biden up in all the polls. So we think Wisconsin will go to Biden. Let's take a look at the final state, which isn't even on this thing. 81-19.
Yeah,
Wow.
Michigan is essentially not contested anymore.
It's not. We have this one as likely in our map because genuinely it's looking like it's in a very good position right now to go to Joe Biden, with their high African American electorate, who, as I said earlier, does tend to vote for the Democrat. It looks like Biden can probably win. It was up to 88% in his high point. 81% still isn't nothing. Is still not anything to laugh about. So I think that Biden has a pretty solid group right now in Michigan, especially considering that Trump has pulled out his ads there now. 12, yeah, generally the same thing. We're seeing huge leads here.
Pollsters are not very, very good, but despite the rating of the pollsters, we ourselves think that Michigan is looking good, very, very, very good to Joe Biden.
Right. And if you remember, Michigan was actually the closest state in 2016. It went to Trump by, I think, 0.22%. So that was very, very close, very tight. No one really saw that coming, or for that matter, any of these three blue wall states flipping. But I think that the biggest thing that's different now between now and 2016 is that Joe Biden's doing a lot better than Hillary was in 2016. That's why 2020 is not 2016. And also, another reason why was because, 2016, Trump was not president yet. Now he's president, and people are seeing his actions. Some people really don't like his actions, and that's why we are seeing Biden favored to win right now, and this is definitely not 2016. And that's the end of the video for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this episode, please hit the like button. And if you like our content, please hit subscribe. I know we're probably not going to hit 2,000 by tomorrow, but can we hit 2,000 by next Monday?
Please.
Anyways, we'll see you in our next episode tomorrow.
See ya.